Hello everyone, I'm Becky Goldsmith from Piece of Cake, and today I want to show you how to sew an inner curve. I'm going to be working from the Best Ever Applique sampler, and I'm going to show you how to do an inner curve by sewing this flower right here. This flower center is reverse appliqued. What reverse applique means is that I have cut through the orange fabric to reveal the blue fabric below. Let me show you how that's done. First, I took a piece of orange fabric and I traced around the outside of the shape and around the inside of this flower center. Next, I'm going to finger press this, turning the chalk line to the inside of the flower center. Now I'm going to do that so that the chalk is not visible on the top of the flower once I have sewn this. Alright. Now let me pause and get this, the next step prepared. Alright, I'm all finger pressed, and I have a piece of blue fabric for the flower center. Now one of the things that will make this easier to sew is that the blue fabric is significantly larger than the hole I'm going to be cutting in the fabric. When you do reverse applique, you want to be sure to give yourself plenty of room to work. If you try to place too small a piece underneath there, it's going to be very difficult to hold on to. Now I'm going to pin this, placing my pins 1/4 of an inch away from the chalk line where I'm going to be sewing. And these pins are going to the outside of that flower center because I'm going to cut that out to reveal the blue fabric below. And get these pins in. There we go. Now, I'm going to take my scissors and start cutting a little snip right there, only through the top fabric. Oop, let me get my scissors in. And then I'm carefully going to trim out this center. Now while I'm doing this, let me emphasize that not every outer curve is a reverse applique piece. You might have a vine or some other shape that has an outer curve that you won't have to do this step for. Alright, now I've got my inner curve revealed. The next thing I need to do is clip. Because this shape is so small and it's one continuous inner curve, I'm going to need to go ahead and clip all the way around this before I begin. Most inner curves, you don't need to clip until you need to clip. If you've got a flat area that you're sewing leading into an inner curve, there's no good reason to clip the inner curve until you get close enough that you can't turn the seam allowance under without distorting the inner curve. When you clip an inner curve, you need a minimum of 3 clips. This one will take more than that. But if you only do 1 clip into an inner curve, you're going to get a really lousy inner point. If you only do 2 clips, you'll have 2 inner points and a flat part connecting them. Adding the 3rd clip or more will allow you to open the fabric up more gracefully. Now you'll notice that I am changing the position of my scissors, the angle of my scissors with every clip. You want your clip always to be perpendicular to the line. Now I'm clipping up close to the inside edge of that chalk line, but where I'm going to turn the edge under is going to be on the far side of this chalk line. If my clip does not go deep enough, I won't be able to turn the fabric well enough. If my fabric, if my clip is too deep, then it's likely to fray out on the other side. You need to pay attention to the way your fabric is behaving. If it frays a lot, your clips can be less deep. If your fabric is a very tightly woven fabric like a batik, you're going to need deeper, more frequent clips. Now, where you bring your needle up, there's a place to do it. Bring your needle up in one of the flattest areas because it will be easier to work. And bring your needle up between clips. Don't bring your needle up at the inside of any clip because you'll be too likely to fray that out when you pull your thread through. Now, I like to use my toothpick, my dampened toothpick, to turn under inner curves. Now, because this has been finger pressed, I can come in advance of where I am and swoop in several of those segments all at once. And I'm going to take this out, and I probably shouldn't because it's going to make the fabric fray, but I want to show you what you don't want to do is turn under one segment and stretch out the base of that clip and then turn under the next segment. You'll end up with a more segmented inner curve. So when I'm doing this, I'm putting my toothpick in there, and then I'm using the shaft of the toothpick to just sweep that edge under. I'm going to redampen it and sweep it under just a little bit more. Now this is a long curve, and I can't sew the whole thing right now because I've got to sew where I am here. So I'm going to sew a little, and then as I need to, I'll turn under more of the inner curve. Just like that. Now when I'm sewing inner curves, I keep my stitches a little closer together than they might normally be, so my stitch length is a little bit shorter. And the other thing I do is catch just a little bit more of the edge of the applique fabric than I might normally catch, especially if you've got a fabric that is prone to fraying. Imagine what happens if your needle comes up at the base of one of those clips, and if your fabric frays, it's likely to fray it out. So if you're catching a little bit more of the applique fabric, you aren't likely to do that. So I would sew some more, and then I would work again, working under several segments at once. Oops. And I'm really using some force with the toothpick to help curl that edge under and smooth it out. So that's how you sew inner curves, and also how you do the reverse applique. Now when I finish this piece and sew all the way around it and get back to the beginning like this, I would then turn this shape over and trim away the excess fabric, leaving a 3/16 inch seam allowance of blue right there, losing the rest of this. So I hope that's helpful and that you enjoy sewing inner curves. Happy stitching!